Have you ever scrolled past a friend on social media who just launched their Etsy shop or got cast in that dream role or went on tour and you just felt like, why not me? And you felt guilty for feeling jealous too, because you want to be a supportive friend, but you're also like, I absolutely wanted this and why can't I have it? You're not crazy for wondering that. You're not selfish. You're not bitter. You're not ungrateful. You're just overwhelmed by bills, by being an artist, by the pressure of trying to do it all right. And the pressure of being right makes you feel stuck. It's like you're scared of wasting your shot. That your creativity, your art, your performing means so much to you that it feels safer to wait than to risk doing it wrong. Welcome back to Violet Gaze. I am Kira, and in these parts we talk all about how to manifest your dreams so you can live a life being a full-time performing and or visual artist, so you can truly romanticize your life and do the things that you have been dreaming of doing since you were like 2. If that feels like it is something that resonates with you, feel free to hit subscribe. I would love to see you around. There are so many things that sparked this idea for me, one of which was getting back on YouTube. I started this channel about 2 years ago, and I took like 6 months off because I was trying so hard just to figure out what the right way of doing YouTube was. I was thinking of all the different ways I should be editing, all the music that I should be using. See how I keep saying should? What I should be doing. Says who? Now, I've taken content creation courses in the past, and I do know that there is a beneficial way of making YouTube videos, but learning things like that is just so you can know the foundation so that you can then actively break the rules. But I wasn't really giving myself permission to break the rules. So I felt this sense of analysis paralysis of, oh my gosh, I can't even get started because everything I'm going to do is wrong because I don't know the one right way to do it. So if I'm not going to do it the right way, I'm not going to do it at all. And that had me not posting for a good 6 months and not being able to share all of the creations and all of the musings that I have been having right now in this video. When I started back up acting classes, I went to acting school. I did musical theater for many, many years, and I did it in college. I was really overwhelmed by the concept of going on Actors Access and starting to submit again because I love it so much. When I tell you that YouTube, content creation, performing, writing music are not like my most favorite things ever, and the things that I want to do absolutely perfectly, I don't know what else could be. And you can hear it right now in the words that I'm using. I want to do it perfectly. The fact that I'm trying to fit creativity into a perfection box is already where I'm going wrong. And see, I'm saying all of this to you, knowing very well that it's still things that I'm saying to myself in my head. So you might be feeling this way too. And you might also actively know that the thoughts in your head are not serving you, but it's still the subconscious things that come out whenever you see someone on Instagram who has just announced that they have gotten cast on Broadway in a role that you would absolutely die to have, or they're in a TV show, or they got this amazing new grant for their work, or they just did design for this incredible brand or client. You're feeling this sense of jealousy, and then you feel shameful for feeling jealous. But really what's happening is we just feel like we can't do it yet because we haven't done it right. When we do achieve the things that we want to achieve, when we look back on it, we can say, well, I wasn't doing everything right. I was just doing it. Everybody who has achieved some sort of creative dream in life, I guarantee, is going to say, I have not done it perfectly this whole time. In fact, I remember listening to Uzo Aduba, I think it was. She had auditioned for Orange is the New Black, and I feel like she was talking about how she's like, I didn't even really like that audition that I had. Many, many actors you'll hear say, that wasn't my best work. Even a take that they ended up putting in the movie that you cried at, they'll be like, that wasn't the best take. No one is ever feeling like they're doing it perfectly, and I feel like the times when we don't think we're doing it perfectly are actually the times that we resonate the most. At the end of the day, being a performer, being an artist, being a visual or performing artist means that we're doing this as a service to other people. Something we always need to be reminded of. A lot of people think that we're doing it for attention or because we like being center stage. There's lots of people who would never want to design anything or make art full time. We're doing this as a service. Everything that we've gone through as artists to try to pursue the dreams that we have today is a service because we go through very hard times. Like, I literally make this video because I know that you're going through a hard time, because I go through hard times. Turning it back to your audience and remembering that this is all a service to them can help you beat that perfectionism. But let's kind of get down into the deeper message here of you're not putting off your dreams, okay? You're not lazy, you're not resentful, you're not bitter, you're not crazy, you're not ungrateful. You just want to be right, and I get that. So here are a few steps to get a little bit more comfortable in your artistic journey, not being right all the time. Tip number 1 is don't tell anyone and don't document anything when you're starting something new, specifically creatively. I'll give you an example. If you have decided that you want to start an Etsy shop and you're like, I can't wait to do this. I have always wanted to start an Etsy shop. A big urge that we have sometimes is that we want to post all over social media about it. Guys, I've started an Etsy shop. I'm finally following my dreams. I'm finally doing what I've been wanting to do. I have some artwork out now. And while the meaning there is great, and I know that you want to celebrate, what it ends up happening is that it puts all this pressure on you now to deliver. And at the beginning of a creative process, putting pressure on yourself to deliver is probably the worst energy that you could be putting out into the universe, because now you're placing all this energy on the output and not on just enjoying it, on just having fun. Because chances are, if you're starting something for the first time, there's a lot of things that are going to go wrong. You might think that you want to start an Etsy shop, but then you realize that you actually don't like having your shop on Etsy and you want it on a website instead. Or you might realize that you don't want to sell artwork, you want to sell pottery. And all of these things deserve space for you to realize and for you to think about. When we put this pressure on ourselves of like, I have officially started this, now I need to be consistent or else people are going to think I'm a failure, it's just perpetuating this incessant artist archetype of us always trying to figure out what we're doing. There's probably a lot of self-consciousness around it too, because we might have had family or friends in the past being like, what are you doing with your life? When are you going to get on Broadway? When are you going to sell your art? When are you going to do XYZ? And so by us like announcing new things that are happening in our lives before we've actually figured out if we want to do it, it's just setting ourselves up for the same kind of pressure, but we're putting it on ourselves. So why are we doing that? If you are starting something new, let's say you do want to start a YouTube channel of you singing, you don't have to tell anyone. You don't have to share. Maybe tell one friend, and tell a friend who would literally be there for you no matter what. They're just proud of you either way. And you can laugh about things if you don't follow through with them. If that's a friend you have, go ahead and tell them. But you don't have to overwhelm yourself with this unnecessary pressure of like, I've told everybody I have this, I need to hold myself accountable, because that is not the energy we want to be putting into our art. We already have so much of that energy around us literally every single day, be it our jobs, the people around us, casting directors, potential clients, potential partners. The ability to alleviate that as much as possible would be chef's kiss for you. Tip number 2, when you do start something, I want you to break it up into microsteps and habit stack it. So when I talk about habit stacking, I'm talking about the concept from Atomic Habits about pairing something that you want to do with something that you're already doing. So the concept of if you want to start journaling more in the morning and you always have tea in the morning, put your journal next to the tea. So when you're brewing the tea, you are going to also write in your journal. If you are wanting to pursue something and you're just like, oh my gosh, I am really overwhelmed by it, I have no idea how to start it, start by doing that. And additionally, you're going to micro step it. So you're going to put it into micro steps. What that basically means is just breaking it down into very, very, very tiny steps. So if you have a goal of getting cast in a commercial, the step to do that should not be step 1, get cast in the commercial. That is not something you can even do in one day. That's not something that's executionable, and that is also not something that's in your control. Instead of getting cast in a commercial being a task, break it down. Okay, what do I need to do to get cast in a commercial? Well, I haven't gotten on Actors Access yet. So maybe step 1 would be get on Actors Access. And if that is still overwhelming, then maybe you can habit stack this with, I always watch TV at night. So when I turn on the TV tonight, I'm also going to take 10 minutes to sign up to Actors Access. Literally pairing it with something that you already do. And I know that that's not technically a habit. That's like a one-time thing, signing up. But that's something that I do to make those hard things a little bit more enjoyable. There are so many things in my life that I choose to do when I am outside or watching a show. Like a lot of things that you need to do tend to be things that are not super focused. Like you can sign up for an account on something and have TV in the background or be listening to a podcast or be heating up a meal. Maybe I'll call that task stacking. Stack these habits into things that you're already doing so it can just be more romanticized and fun. That's a really big part of this channel, helping you become the full-time artist that you've always dreamt of being so you can romanticize your life, so you can wake up every day and be like, oh my gosh, I get to do this. And you have this sense of what I call Zenergy, this Zen energy of feeling grounded and excited and creative and calm all in one. And what better way to do that than to just tag your tasks, the things specifically that you're probably dreading, that you're probably turning into something really big, into something you're already doing. I also like to add time estimates to these as well, because we tend to make things that are overwhelming for us feel so much bigger than they are. Like this concept, I have an email that someone has been following up with me on for a week. And it'll take me literally 10 minutes to do this thing. I have to insert a link somewhere. But because I've blown it up in my head so much, it feels like it's going to be this 2-hour project. Grounding ourselves a little bit more when we know we have to do something and being like, wait, how long is this actually going to take? And estimating this is probably going to take 10 to 15 minutes can just remind us that our head is making it really big, but in reality, it is not. You can do it in less than an episode of New Girl. If you're loving this, by the way, I would love for you to hit subscribe. You can get regular videos, turn on the notification bell, and you can also subscribe to my Substack so you can get these directly in your email. Tip number 3 is to purposefully make it bad. So do literally everything other than making it right. The example that I have is when I studied at the Esper Studio. If you've been on this channel, by the way, I talk about the Esper Studio so much because I just love it. I had a voice and speech coach, Nancy Mayans, and she is incredible if you're in New York City and are looking for a voice and speech coach. Oh my gosh, highly recommend. She would have us when we were practicing accents and we were practicing diction, overemphasize it, like go so big that you feel like it's too big, especially when we were working on like period texts like Shakespeare. She would say, do it like this gaudy, big Shakespearean actor that is so overdone. And what ended up happening is that we would watch each other do this, right? And when we went really big and we would watch each other go really big, we'd be like, that was actually really good. I didn't think that was too big at all. So we're feeling like what we're doing is wrong, but other people are looking at it and being like, this is great. What are you talking about? When you are pursuing something, when you are trying to start a shop, or for me, when I started this YouTube channel, I purposefully made it really bad. I don't even think I put a thumbnail image on my first video, which if you're into YouTube, thumbnails are like really important. And didn't worry about naming, didn't worry about thumbnails. I purposefully did it really bad because I was like, I just need to do this because I love it and I want this to be a part of my full-time work. So I'm just going to do it wrong because for other people, they are probably not thinking about my thumbnail at all. I haven't heard one person be like, hey, that thumbnail from the video 2 years ago was really bad. Never. Hopefully I don't get one now and I'm not jinxing it. Make it bad, make it big, make it imperfect. You are going to thank yourself and you're going to look back and be like, why was I overanalyzing that? It's perfectly fine. Tip 4, do not do any hacks or challenges. Just do it and ditch what you don't like. I did a lot of hacks and challenges in 2020. I think we were all just kind of sitting around in our house asking ourselves what to do next. And I tried to do so many challenges, post for 30 consecutive days on Instagram. I wanted to watch movies and then rate them and write them on a blog. And I wanted to challenge myself to fail one time every week. It just got me more and more confused because I was in a phase of figuring something out, and then I was putting this additional pressure on myself to then follow through with it. But it's kind of like when you start a book and you have given it a fair chance, you've given it the old college try, and you still don't like it, or a movie or a show. Why would you put yourself through finishing it just to finish? Now, there's a reason to be a finisher later on. If you know Jenna Fisher, who played Pam in The Office, in her book, she talks about the importance of being a finisher. But when you're just starting, again, this is all going back to the things that you're afraid of, the things in your creative life, whether it's starting an Instagram for your art or submitting for acting jobs or auditioning. These are all things that maybe you're doing for the first time or you're getting back into the flow. You're not in the flow right now. The worst thing you can do is challenge yourself and put yourself in this box, because if you're just figuring this out and then you're realizing, well, you know what? I'm not having as much luck on Actors Access, but I'm having more luck on Backstage. Why would you continue going on Actors Access if you've already decided that Backstage is better? This is the early phases where you're still figuring it out. Give yourself the chance to be big, to be bad, to be messy, to start things and never finish through with them. It is the best time to do it, because the things that you're aspiring to do after that, you're imagining, I'm going to have an Instagram around my art and I'm going to have 100,000 followers. When you're there, when you're at 100,000 followers, it's going to be a little bit riskier to try a bunch of different things. Now you're in the fun part. You're in the fun part where you get to throw spaghetti at the wall and see what sticks. You're not always going to have that chance, or if you will, it's going to be associated with some bigger risks. You might have a certain style of art that you're creating, you have a following around it, and then you choose to do something totally different. I think there's totally a great part of that that's really cool. That's amazing, but it's a little bit more of a risk because people already have the expectation of you doing something. You don't have any expectations right now. Nobody knows you. Nobody sees what you're doing. You haven't been consistent, and that is fun. Don't hold yourself to these challenges if you're feeling overwhelmed by them. If you feel inspired by them, great, go all ahead. Based on the artists that I've talked to and the experience that I had, it was more harm than good. Doing challenges and hacks and all of these shortcuts to try to figure out the fastest way to do something, challenging yourself to do something when you're an artist just, again, puts more pressure. And we already have so much pressure on ourselves. Why add to it? Let's bring in more Zenergy in our life. Tip 5, I want you to remember the Chappell Roan effect. I've talked about this in other parts of my channel. The Chappell Roan effect is something that I have coined, and hopefully it makes sense to you. But people love Chappell Roan not just because she is an amazing singer, unique performer on so many levels, but because they love seeing the journey. Is that viral video that came out of her playing Pink Pony Club with a electric keyboard in some farmer's market with like 5 people watching, and then it really quickly cuts to her singing in a stadium to hundreds of thousands of people that same song. And when you look at her old videos too on YouTube, she had such a different vibe. She wasn't doing this drag kind of Madonna-like 80s pop vibe. She was singing differently. And that just makes the journey so much more beautiful. Like, mad respect to her for how much she's changed. We see this in artists all the time. We see how our favorite artists, Sabrina Carpenter, Ariana Grande, has changed so much, and it almost makes us feel a deep connection to them. So remember that. Remember the Chappell Roan effect. People love seeing the journey of where you started to where you are now, and they love seeing you figuring things out. And isn't that why you became an artist in the first place? Because you know that you are a channel of vulnerability. If we're not going to be vulnerable, no one else is going to. And that means we're not going to be giving humanity permission to feel their feelings. Nancy Mayans, my voice and speech teacher, also said something that I will always remember about when we're performing artists, we're on stage because we're giving people permission to feel. Who knows what people are feeling when they're watching a Netflix show? Think about what you're feeling when you're watching a Netflix show and you see someone cry and have an experience and you say, oh my gosh, I'm not alone. This is why we do the work. We do the work to help people have permission to feel, have permission to bring more creativity to their lives, bring more self-expression, bring more of themselves to the table by watching us do it. So if we're not going to be vulnerable, nobody else is. This is our service. And by the way, AI is never going to show transformation. It's always going to try to be right. I type something into AI, it gives me something back, and I say, no, I don't like that. It says, oh, you're absolutely right. Yeah, I don't like that either. It doesn't have a sense of discernment. It doesn't really have a point of view. We bring a point of view, we bring a perspective to the world that others won't. If you want to know how to really find your style, your niche, your genre, so you can bring your perspective to light, definitely watch the next video. Your artist does not need to be pressure cooked in order to then be creative. Your artist needs a charcuterie board so you can pick what you would like. You could sample things and say, no, I won't have that, to say, oh my gosh, I love this. I'm going to have 17 of these. You get to choose what you want, and that is a service that nobody else can do. As always, stay inspired, stay creative, and I will see you next time, friend. Bye.